Good morning. Welcome to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Linda Phippen, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I will be assisting with the service this morning. So this service is our annual water communion, in which we celebrate the return of friends who have been away during the summer and gather together as the seasons are about to change and get ready to start the new church year. This is why we sometimes call this service the In-Gathering. If you're visiting today, we are happy you're with us here in the sanctuary, or if you're joining us on YouTube today or at some time in the future. At Westside, we strive to center our lives in love that is manifested in caring for each other and the world around us, and in so doing, build a thriving community for ourselves and all beings with whom we share this planet. Today is the first Sunday of the month, and that means potluck lunch after the service, so please stay for that. There's always plenty of food to share, so don't worry if you haven't brought anything for today. There will also be an opportunity to gather for spiritual discussions after the service as well. Everyone is welcome to join in on that. So announcements about upcoming events and other information may be found in your order of service or will have been scrolling on the screen if you are streaming on YouTube. Announcements are also available on our website and in our weekly newsletter. If you have not subscribed to our newsletter and would like to, you can sign up for it on the website. One extra thing I would like to point out and remind people is that next Sunday, that's September 8th, at 6 p.m., there will be a performance here by the group Acute Inflections. It's a music comedy program. Tickets can be booked using a QR code that's on your order of service, or there's also a couple of flyers in the back of the room that are available if you want to sign up there. I think that's that for the announcements. And now, Reverend Carol will invite our singing bowl to sing.
Morning, everyone. It's good to see you all. I am Reverend Carol Bodeau. I am privileged to serve here as minister. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Special good morning to everyone who's with us virtually, whether that is right now or at some point in the future. It's good to be with you all. A little logistical announcement about things going on during potluck this morning. Okay, we have two things going on. The first is it's our usual spiritual practices gathering. And at this point in the year, we're starting a discussion series called Building Your Own Theology. Okay? So some of us have done this before. You can do it as many times as you want. It's a fun conversation. So basically, Building Your Own Theology is a conversation about how we craft our own personal ideas, philosophies, ways of thinking about the big questions. It's kind of hard to talk about that in a noisy room. So today, if you want to participate in that discussion, we're actually going to meet down in the conference room. So mill about, chat with people. When you're ready, get your food, and then bring your food down the hall to the conference room. And I am actually going to be talking with some of our teachers, our child care people before that. So I'm going to leave some little starter questions on the tables in that room for people to start thinking about. So immediately after the service, if you are interested in helping with child care, we are going to start having child care available starting next week. If you are interested in helping with that, please right at the very end of the service, come back down the end of the hall to our nursery room. We're going to gather for 15 or 20 minutes, talk about how that's going to work, try to create a schedule. So just make that really clear. We're going to have the initial talking about childcare as quickly as we can after the service while potluck is being set out. And then once potluck is out, and if you are interested in building your own theology, we'll be doing that back in the conference room. Lots of logistics. Okay. Now let's all take a nice deep breath after all those logistics. especially me. This is a place where we gather for some reason. If you're here for a reason. We gather because we have needs, hopes, wishes, and aspirations that we feel will somehow be served by coming together. That's what we celebrate in our in-gathering service. It's what we try to celebrate every single week. So as I invite the bowl to sound, what I want to invite you to do is simply first just make sure you're all the way in the room. Take a couple deep breaths. Feel your body in the chair. Let go of what already happened. Let go of what's going to happen in the next hour, or the next week, or the next month. Just show up here. And then as you sit here, I invite you to just take a moment to ask yourself, what am I bringing with me? As I come into this circle, what am I bringing with me? Am I bringing pain, worry, hope, fear, generosity, despair, all kinds of things? So let the bowl sound, let yourself become present, and become aware of what it is that is with you today.
Morning. My name's Helen. My pronouns are they, she, or anything offered with love. Linda's going to light our chalice for us. And our chalice lighting reading this morning comes from the queer poet Andrea Gibson. I know this world is far from perfect. I am not the type to mistake a streetlight for the moon. I know our wounds are deep as the Atlantic, but every ocean has a shoreline, and every shoreline has a tide that is constantly returning to wake the songbirds in our hands, to wake the music in our bones, to place one fearless kiss on the mouth of that newborn river that has to run through the center of our hearts to find its way home.
Thanks, Helen. Before we do anything else, we're going to take a moment together. Many of you know our beloved Judy Burgett, who has been peacefully completing her battle with cancer. Judy died this morning. So we're going to just take a few minutes. Linda's going to light a special candle for her. And these words, we don't know exactly who said these words, but I feel like Judy could have said them. I probably will cry. When I die, if you need to weep, cry for your brother or sister walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. So let's just take a moment and remember Judy who was such a beautiful and bright light in our community. So we're going to sing. We're going to sing together because there is nothing like music that moves us through ups and downs and joys and sorrows and all the undulations that is this life. I'm actually going to get you to stand up for this one, sort of in honor of Judy. Let's stand up. We are going to sing number 210 in that gray hymnal. You can sing it, even if you cannot sing it in tune, sing it with some passion. We're going to sing both verses. And how about, and just so those of you who don't read music understand what happens, we sing it all the way through twice, the first verse and then the second verse, and then we sing the first few lines over again. So, okay, you have to ask the question, what in the world does that have to do with a UU water communion? Right? You know, that song, I'm not going to go into the deep history of it and the deep sort of symbology of it, but it is a spiritual that is highly symbolic for African American culture. It is connected to freedom from slavery. It is connected to ideas of liberation in struggle and a rising out of troubles with the support of bigger forces. So, you know, I was thinking as we were singing it, right, that we're all going to face struggles. We're all going to face suffering. Losing Judy is hard for us and reminds us of the struggles of this life. There is something in community that is bigger, and that allows us to rest into something that holds us. So I know lots of us have gone on vacation this summer, and some of us have not. Some of us have not gone on vacation this summer. We were talking this morning about water communion, and water communion has, in some periods in church history, been a little bit like the slideshow of travels. And that it's important that we understand, like, hey, we've all been having adventures, we've all been doing things, different things, but also we want to focus our water communion, our time together, on how every single person is on a journey. It doesn't matter if you left your house. We are all on a journey. We are all having experiences, and water is highly symbolic for all of us. Now, some of you know that I spent the last few weeks in Michigan, which is a big lake place, visiting my family and making pilgrimage to a couple of different pilgrimages to Lake Michigan. I was visiting friends. I led a women's retreat on the lake shore. So I got to spend a lot of time actually in the water. And sometimes it was pleasant and sometimes it was not, because it was really cold. The lake is pretty cold. Really refreshingly cold. And other times it was downright frigidly cold. So that isn't it water like that, right? Is that there's everything you can say about water you can say as a metaphor, right? It's always a metaphor. But boy, does it make you feel alive. The touch of that cold water on my skin, the image of all the colored stones. Anybody who's been to the Great Lakes knows that the lakes, the bottom of the lake, as you go in, even on the sandiest shores, there are these rocks. All of these amazing colors of rocks, colors and shapes, and they sparkle. It's beautiful. That smell of hot sand or the dune grasses, the sound of the dune grasses and the sound of the waves lapping across the beach. To immerse oneself in nature, particularly water, is a sensory experience of being alive, which of course makes sense because what we absolutely have to be alive is water. We are water. So there's something that's profoundly spiritual or meaningful about connecting with water in all the ways we do it. We just don't usually think about it. I would ask you to think about your most memorable experiences in nature. Many of them are going to include water. I mean, for me, that's part of going to the mountains, right? Go to the mountains so you can look at the rivers, the creeks, the streams, right? Go to the lake to get in the lake. There's a certain feeling of aliveness that comes from stepping away from the mundane tasks and going outdoors, literally or metaphorically, right? I know that some of us, when I get really stressed out, what I do is I will like travel plan on my computer. Is anybody else guilty of this? Anybody else ever been like, yeah, right? Like, ooh, I'm really stressed out and I have to do this work, but maybe I'll just look at some pictures of Michigan right now, right? I mean, think about what's on your screensaver or whatever, right? We even the images of this, not just the experience of it, but even the images of it, are something that we use to restore ourselves. We often go away in the moment, in a story, in a book, in a song, in a picture, or on a literal journey to be re-energized, to reconnect, to somehow become more whole or more ourselves. Often that includes people or places that inspire us, and water is frequently a part of that experience. The central image, of course, of water is that extremely trite phrase, all rivers flow to the sea, right, to the ocean, right? But that, I mean, we say it a lot. It's sort of trite, but think about what that means. Think about what that means. When we think of water, we have this understanding. How many of you learned the water cycle in 7th or 8th grade science? Okay, so what the water does, it falls, it's on the ground and in the lakes, and then it's evaporated, back up, and then it's in the cloud, and then it falls, right? So we have this kind of embodied sense that even when it's in these various stages, even when it's in its various places, it's still one thing. Rivers flow into the sea, they're in the ocean or the sea, they go up in clouds, they fall back down into the rivers, and it's cyclical. There's a sense of continuity, of wholeness, of oneness, of unity that comes from that. And I think that's why the water communion, when it was developed 30-some years ago, when it was developed by a group of UU women, it caught on. It caught on through the whole denomination because there's something about that image of water as embodying a kind of wholeness, even in separation, that appeals to us. And that's, I think, also something to do with why water makes us feel so much better when we go sit beside a river or swim in a lake, right? So when we come back together for our water communion each year, and we pour water into one communal vase, the way this ritual works is the water from all the separate journeys goes into one communal vase. We're reenacting that journey from separation to wholeness. Separation to wholeness. And we're meant to take that into ourselves as a source of comfort and inspiration and excitement and hope. Now, like I said, traditionally in the water communion, people will tell a story of where they were. So I of course always forget to bring water back. I saw some of you remembered, but I always forget to bring water back. You know, it used to be that we were more consistent about remembering to bring water from wherever we went. But the great thing about community is we have water. You don't have to have remembered your water from wherever you went. You can just simply use some from one of the vases. So what we're putting back together is not a narrative of where we went, but a reminder that our journeys come back to this community. So I want to repeat that. The symbolic importance of this ritual is the reminder that no matter where we go, we are saying that we come back and we know we have a landing place in this community, right? Like we've got this whole new slogan, right? Love is what unites us. Caring connects us, and then we take that out into the world and we thrive, right? Community thrives. Love unites us. Acts of caring connect us, and our community thrives. So it's this idea that just like the rivers return to the sea and then back to the rivers, we do that too. Some people, come once a month. Some people come only virtually. Some people come once a year. Some people come back and visit after they've moved away. But there is something about community that is like the sea. It is meant to be a landing place where when we've gone out and had a journey or an adventure, we have some place to come back and share that experience. So, in recent years, when we've done our communion, I've been inviting us, because you're going to get a chance to speak, I've been inviting us to focus our words that we say as we pour water on something bigger than just the story of our travels. The travels are interesting and important, but it's what they represent that really matters. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour water representing our time away into the large vase in the center. And it's good to reflect on where we have been, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically, and what coming back means to us. So I want to invite us to just take a moment to think about these questions. Where have you been this summer? Now go beyond physically. Where have you been this summer? Have you been hopeful? Have you been distracted? Have you been worried? Have you been planning something big? Have you been experiencing new things? Where have you been? What has your heart been feeling this summer, in recent weeks? Maybe it's a mix of things. I think that's probably true for many of us. Where have our hearts been? And what does coming back into community mean to you, given your journey? This is really also what that building your own theology conversation is about. It's like, what's your journey? And what does it mean to be here in the midst of that journey? Perhaps you feel like you've just been steady streaming all summer, just cruising along. Perhaps it's been really bumpy for you this summer. Perhaps you hadn't even thought about coming back into community. Maybe it's just a given for you. Community is just, you're used to it. But what if we use this ritual more than as an opportunity to tell a story about where we've been on our journey, to tell the story of coming together as a community, to tell the story of why we're here as part of something, as one part in this much bigger whole. What if we all imagined this ritual as a way of saying, yes, I am glad to be part of something. It matters to me to pour my gifts, to pour my hopes, to pour my fears into this community and join in it with you all together. Now, for those of you that are with us virtually, here's what I want to invite you to do. As we begin this ritual, I invite you to find yourself a little bit of water. Maybe that's a little cup of water, maybe that's a bowl of water, whatever it is. And as we are pouring water into this central vase, maybe Linda, you can turn on your phone and check into YouTube for us. Oh, Morgan's got it. Morgan's got it handled. So if you would like to add a word, you can type it into the chat and Morgan will share that so that anybody who's with us virtually can also speak into the community what they're bringing. As you come up to the table to pour some water into the communal vase, I invite you to share your name, because not everybody knows everybody. So let's try to remember to do that. Just your name, and maybe a few words. Not a long narrative, but a few words about where you've been physically, whether that's in your backyard or at the local pool, or on some far-flung adventure, where you've been and where you've been in your heart and what coming home might mean to you. So whatever that looks like for you today, and I'm gonna invite maybe Linda, you could handle the microphone. Morgan will handle the YouTube messages. Linda will handle the microphone. Come up. You do not have to share. This is an offer, not a request. Okay? Offer, not a request. If you happen to have brought water, feel free to use that. If you happen to have not brought water, feel free to use what's in there. Go ahead, Linda.
Is this on?
Brett's turning it up.
Okay. Can you hear?
Let me see. Yeah, it's on. Try.
It's on. Oh, here we go.
There you go.
I'm Judy Winchester. I've been a member here about 25 years. And this water comes from the spigot over by the water feature, because I've been here all summer, and one of the things I've had to do is keep my morning glories watered, which you all saw as you came up here. So this is water from our own outdoor spigot. Awesome.
Get a hand free here. Okay, I didn't travel this summer, but I had a project, a little garden project. I have a mini bog garden, and bog plants don't tolerate any kind of things like chlorine or stuff in their water. So I've been making reverse osmosis water for my bog plants and also for my orchids that I'm trying to rehab. So that's, and it's been a real pleasure and joy watching these little plants continue to thrive. So it's been good.
Hello, I'm Henry. I didn't bring any water, but I'll pour some still. I've been here for a long time.
It stopped.
Hi, I'm Alice, and when I thought of water today, the first thing that came to me is when I was young, I was raised on a state park in Kentucky that had a lake. And that lake meant everything to me at that point, because that's where we wanted to be. We wanted to be on a boat or fishing or swimming, and all the joy that the water brought to me. And I just want to reflect on that, and it just makes me happy.
I am Dwayne Krager, and I didn't bring any water, but I mentally remember the water feature of a bread and breakfast that Linda and I would go to so much. It was the inspiration for our water feature out here.
And Virginia. Or Alice, I always call her.
I'm Diane Gray. Every year, my husband and I go to Roan Mountain State Park and camp on the river, the Bodeau River. And this is the first year I remembered to get water. And it's a place of peacefulness for us where we escape from reality and just hike around, take our dog for a walk around there. And our second favorite place is Elkmont Campground and Jake's Creek. I don't have water from there, but the peacefulness of nature.
Hello, I am Morgan, but for right now, I am actually a virtual member. I'm Shiny Williams. I've been in my own yard and around Loudon doing daily living. My heart has been finding a place of greater peace as I've been going through a dark time. Shiny does have a little cup of hot tea, and that does count as water.
We're Jerry and Alice, and we had the pleasure of going to Munstergelien in the Netherlands to visit our son and grandson and daughter-in-law this year, and had the pleasure of our little grandson taking us on a hike along a little creek that flows through Munstergelien. So this is virtual water from the Netherlands, which is a very watery place. And in terms of, I was really full of pride and joy to see our family, and but I'd love to come back and join our church family here too.
Well, this will be a representation of the waters. The biggest water, I guess, we were near this summer was the St. Lawrence River. And when we traveled up north to Quebec, we also went past three places that we used to live there, in Virginia, New York, and Vermont. But we stayed in a little town in northeast Vermont called St. Johnsbury. It's only a town of about 7,000, but I enjoyed walking around. It's got a lot of old houses. And I passed this church that had a big rainbow flag and a Black Lives Matter flag hanging outside it, and I wondered what it was. I looked it up on the internet, and it was apparently a Christian-affiliated church, but it obviously very liberal, which is what Vermont is. And it's funny because in the small town, just a few blocks down the street, was a UU church also. And then outside of the town, there's another kind of a church, the Dog Chapel, where artist Stephen Hunick founded some years ago. You've probably seen some of his pictures. But people they have this chapel, this actually church building, where people from all over the world bring pictures and notes about their pets, and they put them on the wall, and they're covered from floor to ceiling all around. So it's a really neat place to visit.
Good morning, I'm Elizabeth Corbett, and I have been all over the place physically and also mentally. Most of the time this summer, on Sundays, I've been in bed because of my chemo treatments and my side effects from that. And when I haven't been in bed, I have been to St. Louis and the beach and Denver and Connecticut and well, that's enough. But I have water from very close to home. and it is from the pool in Loudoun County next to the high school. And as I said, I've been kind of up and down mentally and emotionally because chemo really wipes you out. And but the times that I've been away have been lots of expressions that I'm still able to do that, which has been great. And the water from the pool yesterday was from a triathlon I did. And David has me on tape running up a hill and really panting, actually. But I am saying, oh, David, I am so happy. I'm so happy to be here. And I just want to keep going because my friend Judy cannot.
I'm going to be here for a minute, so I'm going to swivel this way so everyone can see. Okay, so for the moment, I am Joey Cody. I've had a bumpy summer, as Carol put it, and I realized the other day I hadn't been in any water. No rivers, oceans, lakes, all summer. So today, Joey is tubing the French Broad. Yay! Also from Curtis, who is our online moderator and is always here, even if we don't see her. Yesterday, I filled up what will become a water garden. I'm looking forward to filling it with plants and seeing the life that comes from that. I would also like to share for myself. I'm Morgan. This summer has been filled with testing boundaries and limits of what we can do. I have found myself putting on my favorite t-shirts to remind me that I am in a community of love. And this morning, we had 3 foster babies, 3 foster kittens. The first one passed away pretty early, and the second one died in our arms this morning as we crossed the river. And I couldn't help but wonder, I wonder if he was helping Judy. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Laurie. Valiga, I know, it's one of those things. I had a journey this summer. I actually went to Huntsville and visited my brothers. I lived on mostly caffeine for 2 days to get that done, but it's the first time in 3 years that I've felt like traveling, and it was a great visit, and it was great to come home.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anna Kaur, and my family sitting here in the front row and I, we're my husband, we're new to the congregation, to West Side, and this summer for us has been a summer of new beginnings. We are very grateful for the wonderful people we've met here at West Side, new friends, and very grateful for that. New grandbaby.
Number 1.
Youngsters getting married, my youngest daughter, and Ray. She will be marrying Ray, and...
You took what I was going to say. Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome. And we're just so happy. In coming here to West Side, it's also been rebirth for us spiritually in many ways, and we're very thankful.
Do it again, and we'll pause them too.
Hi, I'm Virginia. I didn't bring any water. This summer we have been raising our grandson, and the only sweat I have is the only sweat that I have as far as water is doing the yard with my grandson. So, does that count?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
They're always...
Hi, I'm Ray, and this is Lily. Part of our summer journey has been planning our wedding, which is fitting because we didn't bring water, because from congregation into congregation. For our little story, we actually picked our name in Myrtle Beach in the ocean. We will be changing our last name to Cerulean, which is another word for blue, and we did that in the ocean. We were like, what last name? And I was like, why don't we just pick one that also starts with C? So that's us.
Hi, I'm Tremaine, and when I think of water, I think of my sister mostly. She's a big water dog, and like almost every summer, we used to go swimming and to different pools and hotels and swim. And I know she's been doing a lot of swimming this summer, and so this is for her and remembering family.
I'm Jim Carney, and I've been coming here since about the first of the year when my wife died, and water is sort of a part of my daily ritual. I begin it along in the grove behind the house, looking out at the lake and doing my Tai Chi to center, and in the evening, watch it go down over the lake and watch the birds and think of when we did it together. And watching the passage of the broader lake that we all live in. My one surviving aunt is probably passing this week, and my youngest grandson just came last week. So the flow goes on.
Hello, my name is Ann Hess. This summer I went to Florida to meet Joe's parents, and the first thing that his mom said to me was, "Welcome to the family." And this summer has been a big reminder to me that no matter what you go through in life, no matter what hardships you have, it's worth going on because there's always more.
Hi, I'm Barry. My travels this summer have mainly involved family, and not for the greatest of occasions. My mother died several weeks ago, and so we traveled down to do that, and so that's been filled with memories of how wonderful she was as a mother and as a woman, and sadness of missing her, even though she was 98 years old, and we've been knowing this was coming for some time. There's still a mother-shaped hole in the universe, as they say. And also, my husband is progressing in the path of dementia, and so my life has been filled with a lot of uncertainty and some fear about, and about how, where do we go from here? How's this going to progress? What are we going to do? And that kind of thing. And coming back to this place is one of the things that helps me hear that thing with feathers that perches in my soul called hope.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Wingirter, and I brought my daughter Chelsea with me. I've been on several journeys this summer, some solo, some with family, and also kind of all over the place in a variety of different ways. And I always, always, always forget water. And I've been doing this kind of water communions since I was about 6 years old and never, ever remember water. But West Side was really the first place that was a community for me when I moved to Knoxville almost 10 years ago now, and was the first place outside of my job, which was what brought me here, that welcomed me into its home. And so it's been quite a while since I've been here. Chelsea was smaller, but I'm here today to share all that with you.
I'm Mary Levering, and I joined Westside when it was still in a storefront many years ago, and it's been the most wonderful community for me, and which I never particularly used to mention until our wonderful minister began to point it out, that being a wonderful community is part of who we are, and what we seek to create here. This summer I spent 2 weeks on Lake Chautauqua in upstate New York, and that gave me an opportunity to go out on a dock and sit there and stare at the water. So, I went to the Chautauqua Institution, which is a sort of wonderful summer camp for old people that has lots of lectures and concerts and plays and practically everything you could possibly enjoy or be stimulated by. So that was quite an experience.
I'm Jonas Holdeman. My wife Judy and I live on, our house is on the ridge, and our property goes down in back and to what used to be a seasonal stream and up the other side. And partway down, I've terraced in a small garden. Now, I put some tomato plants in, and even though I had previously soaked the ground very well, I noticed they were wilting. So I went down this past week, Thursday, about 5:30, and I just soaked the whole garden with water. I put water until the earth stopped drinking it up. And there were puddles of water around each of the plant and in between and so on. And it wasn't sinking in very fast, so I thought, well, that's enough. So I rolled up the hose and stopped for a moment to pull a few weeds from the garden. And I looked up, and there, about as far as I am from Linda, on the ground, was a hawk. And it was a big hawk. Must have been at least 2 feet high. And he had his wings kind of out, and feathers seemed to be fluffed up. So he looked very fat, kind of like a turkey gobbler. And that was amazing, because the only time I'd been this close to a hawk was when it was in a cage. Well, I was kind of astounded, and I backed off a little bit, and the hawk walked into the garden, and by this time most of the water had sunk in, but there was one little pool, and the hawk went towards it and started to try to drink, and the water disappeared. So anyway, I turned, And I walked back up the hill to the house, and I thought, you know, there haven't been many birds around here. I wonder why. Maybe they are off somewhere where there's water. And so I got out this old cement bird bath, about so big, and put it down by the back of the house and put water in it, filled it with water, turned off the hose, and turned around, and there was the hawk 30 feet away in the middle of the yard watching me. He had followed me up the hill. Now, this requires, I should think, a certain amount of intelligence to associate me with water, and if he stayed with me, maybe he could get some water. Well, I thought about it, and I said to myself, this is not going to be enough. And I have a baking pan up on the deck, right up there. And so I went up and got the baking pan and came down, and I kind of shook the dirt out of it. And when I did, I shouldn't have done that. The hawk flew off, staying very close to the ground, down towards the downslope of the hill, and into a tree with low limbs, so he could see what I was doing. Well, I filled that pan, and I went inside and told Judy about this, and I didn't stay to watch and see if the hawk actually came and got the water. But that night I got thinking, that's not enough water. And I have this pan about this big, and it's shallow, and so in the morning, I'll fill it up with water. Well, so I start down the stairs, and the driveway is over there, and I look up, and on my trailer at the end of the driveway is a hawk. So I can't explain why he was there, but the pan I needed was over by the trailer, and I walked over there, and he flew and landed, another 30 feet away in the neighbor's yard, and stood watching me. I got the pan, and as I walked over, he walked away under some bushes, and I got the pan, and I came back, and I put it by the house, and I filled it up with water. Now, I never saw the hawk again. I don't know if he found the water, but it's there in case the birds come back. Now, I would suggest that if you have the opportunity, put some water out for birds, but keep it clean so it doesn't breed mosquitoes. Anyway, this is some water from the birds.
From our online friends. This is from Shiny's dad, Fred Williams, who's also watching. I've been to South Dakota this past summer. Home is my refuge, and water reminds me of the cleansing power of love. There was also a comment that was shared that I just have to share too. Curtis said, the love in this room grows with everyone who speaks. So grateful for this community. And I have to say, that is so true, just in the room, and knowing that our online friends feel it too is fantastic. So thanks for being the healing part of community here with us today.
It's so beautiful to hear all the different stories. Jonas, that was a fabulous story. Thank you for sharing that. I heard things like joy, caring for this space, caring for the earth, memories of people we love who have passed, inspiration, hope, promise, right? Getting through struggles, nurturance, remembering we're connected in an interdependent, interconnected web of all life. So a wonderful thing is when we actually take the time to just show up and share what we're actually experiencing, we do, in fact, feel connected. We do remember that all those individual separatenesses are part of a bigger whole. Just as rivers flow to lakes, to the sea, so too do we all flow into the greater river that is life, that is time. As water moves and then is sometimes still, it dances, sometimes it is stormy, sometimes it is a little stagnant. All the different states it can be in. So too can our lives go through all those stages. And just as it changes states, so too do we change states. Elizabeth, only you would bring your water in a bottle that you could use in a marathon or a triathlon, right? I love the symbolism of that. There's always a new possibility. There's always a new place to go, a new state to be in. And just as water is part of all things, so too is each person, each life that is part of this community, a true and real part of the bigger whole, a whole that has beauty in all the joys and suffering and hopes and striving and struggles that is this life. As we come together in community at the end of the summer season, which is also the beginning of the autumn season, we connect in all the stages of our lives. So let's remember, not just in our minds, but in our hearts and in our spirits, that the connection brings things like peace, hope, power, possibility. Each time we come together, let us strive to be that for one another and for the world. May it be so. And we try to live that out in the world by doing things that make a difference in the world. I love some of the stories that we heard today about taking care of the hawks, taking care of the gardens, doing things for other people. We strive to be a community of service, so if you wish to contribute financially to the work that this institution does, you can always do that by making a contribution online. There is a box in the back of the room if you'd like to make a cash or check contribution. There's a QR code on that box. There's a QR code on your screen. I mean, who knew? Like 2 years ago, if someone had said to me, QR code will be central to your worship service, no clue, right? Things are constantly flowing and changing. So you can always make financial contributions. As we said, there are other things that are happening to be of service, too. If you want to help with childcare, please, after the service, come back to the childcare rooms and learn about that. There are projects going on all the time. And you can always learn more about our justice and generosity projects. I believe right now are we still in the quarter with the UUA? Yes, so right now our current, if you happen to make a contribution that is undesignated, some portion of that will go to our larger denomination. They're doing all kinds of cool work too. Do we have a Green Sanctuary moment today? Wonderful. And our Green Sanctuary team is doing all kinds of great work, and so Yetta is going to share a little bit about that.
Good morning. So one way that we are a community is that we try to improve the water around us, and there are several projects that the Green Sanctuary Committee, which anybody is welcome to join, has been involved in, including planting trees around the riparian zone, which leads to our stream over here. And there are some potential opportunities in the Turkey Creek watershed. How many of you actually live in the Turkey Creek watershed? This church is located in the Turkey Creek watershed. Do you know what watershed you're in? Okay, so maybe we need to look into that and pass out some information about what watershed everybody is in. But there's an opportunity to get funding from the city of Knoxville to do improvement projects such as educating or doing retention basins, doing water gardens, doing riparian zones, doing other kinds of projects that will lead to improved water quality in the Turkey Creek watershed. Another thing that we're looking at doing in the fall is having a plastic-free week, just to try to see how far we can get with eliminating purchase of and use of plastics in our lives. So there are opportunities to try to improve the water quality. Water is central to everything we do, as you've heard, and that's one thing that makes us a community, is that we can do more together than we can alone. Thank you.
Excellent. What? Oh, okay, thank you. So we are going to sing in a minute, and apparently the number in your order of service is wrong. It's 1007, not 1001. Totally on me. But think about that for a minute. You know, water is a metaphor, and it does all flow together, not just with the good stuff, but with the bad stuff. So that's our charge and our challenge as we go out today, and yet it has introduced it some for us. But think about the ways that your actual water use is part of a bigger whole. The water that flows from your tap and from your yard and from your space goes into the bigger water. It affects all of life. What we do to our water makes a huge difference. As a community, we do have the capacity to raise awareness and to improve our practices around that. And we can also do that with our sort of metaphorical water, right? We can remind ourselves and one another that we matter, that we're not powerless, that we in fact have power, that we have beauty, that we have gifts, and that every single one of us can contribute to the flow of love and joy and peace and wholeness and well-being and hope in this world. So we are going to sing number 1007. They look so darn alike when I don't have my glasses on. We're going to sing that, and the words are about remembering that I'm somebody and my actions matter, that I count. Let's just stand up for this one too. Why not? We're in the mood today. Let's stand up for this one. We're going to sing all 3 verses of There's a River Flowing in My Soul. Okay, that was upbeat, wasn't it? So I invite you to join hands if you would like. And again, offer, not request. You can always hold your own hands. That is always allowed. You can always hold your own hands. So it's sort of funny, like one of the things we do when we do this hand-holding thing at the end is we physically embody the connection. Right? We go through most of our lives, most of our day, we go through the world like this. Right? Separate, isolated. We are cautious about touching, we're cautious about eye contact, we're cautious about actually acting connected because it's a little vulnerable. But when we have the courage to do it, when we have the courage to connect, we are so much more ourselves. We are so much more able to belong to ourselves and to others. So as you go into this day, into this week, into this life, the journey that you're on, bring yourself fearlessly, courageously, lovingly, because you are somebody, you do matter, and your journey is part of the greater journey that gives us all life. May it be so. Go in peace, go in passion.